I was trying to finish my a fantasy novel called The Thief's Ambition, and it's a heist novel, and then it's gonna be like a trilogy. And I was like, I just couldn't look at it anymore. Like it was on my third draft, and I was like, I just can't do this. And one of the guys on here goes like, he's like, dude, I do, and I just talked about this with Simon too, today. Like, he's like, I do my main project, and wherever that's at, he goes, I'll do my secondary project, and I'll do a third just for fun if those aren't working for me. He's like, because at least I can just keep going, and I've been doing that for the last couple of years, and I have to say, I've been so productive, even if I've just pushed things along. Otherwise, I get into a situation like now where I've struggled to write anything because I'm trying to finish up my fifth draft of my prequel novella number one. It's like I just have not been productive, and then because I'm not being productive, I just keep getting in my own head. So today is the day where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to my third just for fun. It's like a D&D fantasy, just like a D&D party, like just doing stuff. I'm like, I'm just gonna go back to that because whenever I do that, I then have better ideas for editing or whatever. So I totally agree. Ever since I went with that route, I've been way more productive. I've gotten two novellas, like first draft written at least, if not three drafts, a full novel, for its third draft, not done, but I've still been way more productive doing that. And then since I've gotten away from doing that, I haven't been productive at all. So I totally agree with you there. For me, I think that it's important to find what works for you. And I challenge the audience too to try different things because I never thought that would work for me. And that's the only way I've gotten anything accomplished. So I think that's really smart.
I think also one thing that's really worth noting is like time away from the project and coming back to
Good
it
point.
with fresh eyes is
Mhm.
really, really valuable. And it lets you see the things that kind of go on autopilot. And you can find, plot holes, but also prose that are weak or dialogue or whatever the case may be. Like, for instance, when I first published my first book, The Scald's Black Verse, I wrote it and I didn't have experience publishing and I think it wasn't polished enough and I
Mm,
published it. And it still was doing fine, but like there were a couple of reviews that I read and I was like, you know what, that's actually kind of a good point. And so
mm.
after I think it had been out for like 3 or 6 months or something like that, and I had seen a couple of points that rang true for me in a couple of reviews. And so but the joy of self-publishing is that you're in
Mm.
control of it. And so I actually took the time. Well, I was in the middle of the second book, and I think I finished the first draft of the second book, and then I said, like, this is a good moment for me to go
Mm.
back and like address these things. And so I actually went
Yeah,
back and did a fairly not like I didn't like totally mash up the plot or
yeah, yeah,
anything like that, but I had a strategic plan in mind to address a couple of these things that I thought were actual legitimate issues that I should fix, or just mostly parts that felt like I knew how to strengthen. And I was like,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what? I know how to round out that character better, or I know how to like make this kind of plot thread a little more seamless. And so I actually went back and I like made a little plan and I went back through and I
Mm.
put in some new stuff into the first book and then I published it again. And since then, like the reviews have been significantly better.
Cool.
So I think, and honestly, it wasn't that big of a time suck because like a lot of writing, that stuff is in the back of your head and you're kind of processing it on the back burner for
Yeah,
long
yeah,
periods of time, especially when it's the first novel you ever publish. And it's like, a
yeah, yeah.
huge, it occupies a lot of your mental real
Yep.
estate. And so I had that processing in the background and I was thinking about specific parts where I could implement that. And then
Mm.
I was able to like not make huge dramatic change. I don't think I maybe added one scene, but I wasn't like drastically doing anything. I was
Mm.
like adding details here and there and like altering dialogue slightly to change the tone. Like for instance, there was a character who um, wasn't one note, but he has anger problems, and that's like a big part of his character arc throughout the series. But there are a couple of moments where I think it was too drawn out. So he
Okay.
was not feeling one note, but I know when I read a book and like people are bickering for too long, like just like someone pisses you off for too long without that relief,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
can feel kind of wearing or it's just not as engaging. You don't want to go back to it because you're feeling this anxiety because of it. And so I went in and addressed that, and I gave some moments of relief to that tension that I think
Mm.
really made a big difference.
I think that's really smart. And I think that makes total sense. Again, like you said, right? Like self-publishing, it's easy to do that.